Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show. Gentlemen, happy November, and I hope everyone had a nice Halloween. How are you guys doing?
A little frightened, Halloween. It brings out the spooky side.
That's all right.
Still recouping from trick-or-treating.
Very good, very good. We're closing out our Halloween scary movies, so this will be fun.
Then I think we should do a November full of rom-coms. Just our favorite falling in love in autumn movies.
There you go. That's
Who got mail? I'm going to date myself right off the bat with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kyle had Kyle brought this trailer to our attention, Crime 101. He sent it to all of us, but I didn't get a chance to even look at it yet. So we're going to watch it right here. Are you guys ready to go?
Yeah, I think this looks like the kind of movie we would enjoy.
Okay. All right, let's check it out.
Mike.
Sharon. So what are we driving?
If you can guess, I'll give you the keys to it.
Ooh, Chevy Chevette, racing green.
Right color.
That is a beautiful car. I need to be in your line of work. I'm real good at reading people.
And what have you read about me?
Okay. You look like a person who has secrets. You got the cars, the clothes, but you can't seem to look me in the eye.
Start by handing me your phone.
You're looking at robberies of jewels, money, or high-value items in the last 4 years. Now, remove every robbery where there was DNA left at the scene. I think all of these are the same guy, and he hits every time along the 101 freeway.
I came here to make you a business proposition. I've worked at the same company for 11 years. You're a VP when you should be a partner. Those high-value items your company insures, I occasionally make them disappear. And no one gets hurt. Yeah, wouldn't die for an insurance company. Get in. There's water in the trunk.
Here's a courier carrying watches and gems, and the buyer's paying cash. Looking at $11 million in one room, 3 of which I'll be taking. Doesn't matter how much money you make, it's never enough.
I'll know when I have enough.
How?
He's planning something new, father.
My dad always says you gotta break a few eggs.
You tell him I see you again in the book.
Yeah.
As smart as that guy is, he can't help but form a pattern. I'm getting close. I know it.
Some doesn't feel right.
Nice car. You into cars?
Yeah, I prefer the old American ones.
I used to dream of having a Mustang when I was a kid.
Like Steve McQueen.
You ever see the Thomas Crown Affair? Plays a high-class thief in it.
I like Bullet. All the chases.
You're about to break every rule you've ever lived by. What makes this job different?
There comes a moment when you realize you don't have as much time as you thought you had.
Kyle, you're absolutely right. That looks like a film we would love.
Yeah, this looks like my kind of movie. I'm seeing a lot of the stuff I like. I'm seeing a little Thomas Crown. I'm seeing a little James Bond. Just that kind of high-stakes caper. And the timing is interesting, seeing as that trailer came out like 2 days before the Louvre got hit, which is hilarious.
They were sitting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does look pretty damn sweet. My first initial reactions was I thought Nick Nolte was dead, but I'm glad he's not.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him too.
Yeah. And I kind of, I'm starting to, I'll just say it, I kind of can't stand Mark Ruffalo. So when I saw him in the poster, I was like, eh. But then when I saw the kind of, he's sort of playing that fuddy-duddy Hanratty character, remember
Catch Me If You Can.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
exactly.
Tom Hanks character.
Yeah, he's
That's
always one step
great.
behind, so I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see him as that. So yeah, no, it looks pretty damn cool. So I definitely will check this out.
I like Chris Hemsworth outside of superhero movies. Like as an action guy, he
Yep.
just kills it every time.
I think we
Agreed.
all felt the same way about Extraction, and
Yes.
Big time.
what that did for his career, putting him on the map as somebody who could live beyond the MCU, I think was really, really good. So I trust an action movie in his hands for sure. I don't know this director though, so it's going to be it'll be some new discovery there.
Yeah. I think even Halle Berry looks pretty good in this. She looks like she's meant to be a tiny bit older and a little more seasoned than some of the younger guys in the film. So I think she looks like she's very well cast in this.
And it's clear that she's playing like the Catherine Banning insurance person who's on the scent of the thief and possibly in league with him. So that's what made me think of Thomas Crown.
Yeah,
and they just flat out mention it in there.
Yeah, that too.
No, I think the film is definitely trying to pay some homages to some of those films. So yeah, very cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check that one out. It looks really good.
Yeah, got me in.
Come on, Peter. Let's just sue him.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
A grieving family is haunted by tragic and disturbing occurrences. Written and directed by Ari Aster, 2018's Hereditary. And a film that was very highly rated on my list of not only horror movies, but I think when we did the top 10s of 2018, I think this was my top film. So you obviously know I'm going to be a little biased towards this film. So somebody better jump in and tell me about Hereditary.
Well,
that
description
your number
does
one
not do
on
it
your
justice.
list? Did this land on number one on your list, or was it number two?
I think this was my number one film of that year.
Okay. Sorry, Kyle, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying that description that Joe gave is that could go a lot of places, because that does not do this movie justice. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and it's the plot takes some unexpected twists and turns throughout.
Does it though?
It could. It might not. I mean, I think, like some of the movies we've been talking about lately, you can interpret this a couple of different ways, and I'm sure we're going to get into that.
I'm sure we are too. I will say that I finally got to finish the movie today. This is the third time I tried watching it, not because it was terrifying. I thought it was terrifying or scary or it kept me up or I had to shut it off because of some of the imagery and all that. The first two times I fell asleep. I think a big thing with this movie for me was the pacing. It starts off so slow and I'm waiting for something to happen. And then you get something big and I'm like, okay, I'm back in. And then it paces and it's on and on. And then something else happens, and I'm like, okay. And then two times in a row, fell asleep. I mean, it wasn't even like I was staying up late. Kids went to bed, like you suggested, Kyle. Started watching it like 8:30, and both times just fell asleep. Today, started it right after dinner, like 5:30. Kids are in the other room doing their thing. Finally made it all the way through, and it was good. It was good. I think it was. I was very excited because you guys hyped it up, but I don't think it met that hype.
Yeah, this is not a jump scare kind of horror movie. This is an actor's movie. It's really something that you're watching for the performances, I think, more than anything else.
I would agree with that. I would say this is the epitome of a slow burn kind of a movie. I mean, it's almost to the point where it's like, I think the thing for me that keeps me engaged with it is just the heavy creep factor. I feel like the movie is so grounded that you really are kind of, I felt like if I was watching this in the theater, I mean, my hands are kind of clutching the seat, the entire time, just sort of waiting to see what's coming around the next corner, what's happening next. The fact that it because it does ground it so well that I think as things really start to unravel, it really does pull you in. And I mean, there are some movies like, what's the one, Final Reckoning, Final Destination, something or other, when it's like the kids are dying, like,
Final
Yeah,
Destination.
Final
is that
Destination.
I mean, honestly, I mean, there's so sort of, they're so comic booky. I don't think I've ever actually sat through one of them, but like they'll show up on TV once in a while, and I'm sort of watching it out of the corner of my eye. My mother-in-law will have it on, and it's, I could care less.
Your mother-in-law watches Final Destination?
I swear,
That's awesome, dude.
I should do it. We should do a whole episode on just some of the crazy things my mother-in-law watches, and I can't get over the fact that she,
like, I've met her
how
before.
she finds certain things and kind of gravitates towards them. I don't get it. But anyway, like every time I see one of those movies, they just feel so comic bookish that it's almost like, it's like I honestly can't tell if they're meant to be comedies even, like they're just so tongue-in-cheek, kind of thing. This one I felt like, again, is so grounded, is so weirdly realistic feeling, there's nothing about it that would distract you in any way from being like a totally just real thing that's happening. So I think when it starts to pull you in to the craziness, it feels so real to me that I just felt like, again, it was so unnerving. It was just kind of crazy. And I'm talking even from like the first couple scenes, even, not necessarily when things start to really get nutty. So yeah, once things do start to go crazy, I feel like I'm hooked, and I'm just kind of like this the entire time. Like I'm just like my knuckles are clenched, and so yeah, it all just feels so sort of real. And it did such a wonderful job of sort of tricking me into the whole idea that this is happening.
Well, it feels real because at its core, it's a family drama, but you don't really know. The horror could come at any moment, and the places where you expect the horror to appear, that's not necessarily where it comes from, and it will be somewhere else. And there's never really a chance for these characters to just be and to just live and to just realize, because there's always whatever that malevolent presence is, and we find out much later on in the film what that turns out to be. But there's always something going on. There's something wrong. There's something bothering this family throughout, creating that drama. And we know it's a horror film, so it gives us a sense of dread. And I think that's one of the reasons why it feels real, is because it's just it's a normal family, and things keep going wrong, and you're not really sure why. And it's a long mystery until it is finally revealed, and it is pretty shocking when that revelation comes.
Yeah,
I don't think it really was, though, because right off the bat, it starts off with the obituary, so you know that you're going to be dealing with death in some form, and the very first opening scene is the funeral of the grandmother, or what was her name, Annie, who plays the mother of the children. Her mother dies, so they're going to her funeral. Immediately after, they're going through the books. She finds the the book on spiritualism opens it up, and everything in that little note that the mother left talks about sacrifice and how all the losses that you're going to deal with, it's all going to be worth it in the end. And the movie's called Hereditary. So immediately I'm like, okay, there's going to be something about witches. Like she's holding up like a book about that. Everybody's going to die. This is a movie about witches. So I thought the foreshadowing just like immediately slaps you in the face, and nothing was coming as a surprise from that
Maybe.
point, except for some of the imagery and stuff.
Maybe, but it's also a movie that deals with themes of severe mental illness in this woman's family, and her father, her brother, her mother all suffered from severe mental illness. She herself had a psychotic episode, and mental illness is often a hereditary condition. So that is also a red herring. You think it could be just somebody dealing with psychological unsettling issues, and that's where the horror is going to come from.
Also true.
It's one interpretation. You could watch this movie and say the whole thing is in the mind of a deranged woman. I don't necessarily think that's what this, but you could watch it that way. So that could be the hereditary condition.
I totally agree with you right there. I think that I also kind of walked away with the same feeling. Like I think from the get-go, the film is telling you that it's like you said, it's throwing you off because hereditary could mean different things in this, and that's very much. And this is why, by the way, it reminded me so much of like The Shining. By the way, I thought this film really did capture the essence of things of several other films that are way high on my list. The Shining, The Exorcist, The Omen, all of those films were kind of ringing in my ear as I'm sort of watching this. So yeah, I think like The Shining, you can't tell. Is this an experiment in full-blown mental illness? Are we just following this person down the road of insanity, or are there supernatural things at play here? And that was the thing that I think I really enjoyed most about this film. And quite frankly, I think right up until the end, the film had me sort of believing that it was going to be about just crazy people. This is just someone too lost in loss, in the feeling of dread. You know what I mean? You're in mourning because it's just too much trauma to deal with in a short amount of time. So I was kind of bracing myself that I thought that's how this was going to go. But nope, that's not at all how it ended. And frankly, I felt like that was one of the things, kind of like The Sixth Sense, where right up until the end, it kind of had me, I was being led down the path, just how it wanted me to be. And then by the end, it pulled the rug out. And I was like, wow, I genuinely didn't see that coming. So yeah, again, like I said, a lot of homages to a lot of great horror films. And quite frankly, I feel like, of the films that we talked about, of the ones that we highlighted, I would say this one is more horror than some of the others. Like I feel like
I would
this
agree.
is like pure horror, in just in terms of there was horrible things on here, but it really is it just gave me a feeling of horror the entire time, and I think it just worked. One of the things that you mentioned, Kyle, by the way, is that the film sort of paints itself as, or poses as a family drama, or maybe that's not fair. It is a family drama, but one of the things I remember noticing as I was watching it this time around is that the family feels a little off,
Yes,
like doesn't
definitely.
like. I remember feeling like I didn't quite understand, like Gabriel Byrne and Toni Collette, I thought had no chemistry.
No.
Like I didn't see them as a couple. They never felt like a couple to me. And again, I feel like, and I don't mean lack of chemistry as if the film was wrong, like miscast. No, I mean they something felt off, and I thought that made sense
About the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't seem like it was clicking. I couldn't see them together at all. So, and then the family, by the way, first off, I'm wondering how is it that, first of all, Gabriel Byrne's still speaking with his Irish accent for a lot of parts, unless it was coming in and out. Maybe he just wasn't very good at hiding it. And Toni Collette, I'm looking at the daughter
The two
saying,
kids.
"What's that?"
Two kids that like don't look like their
Look
genetics
nothing like their parents.
At all.
Right.
I mean, the little one, like the girl, maybe. Like she looks like. I mean, obviously she's meant to look a little like something's off. And I've seen her in other things, so I'm not picking on her. She's a pretty girl in real life, but I mean, in this, she looks like something's just not right. But then the son looks like he's Middle Eastern. Like he just doesn't look like he belongs to these two parents. So you're kind of wondering, am I supposed to notice this, or is that something that I'm supposed to read into, or no? So yeah, the whole family just doesn't feel right. So and again, I think that's done intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
completely agree.
definitely. And I think Peter, I don't remember what I didn't write down the actor's name, but Peter the son, I think he was the powerhouse actor of the entire movie.
Yeah.
I would agree with that too. But I mean, honestly, I felt like there was nobody who wasn't carrying. I mean, I thought Toni Collette in this is just unbelievable. In fact, I was reading some of the IMDb trivia, and at some point it said something about how she had told her agent she was kind of, can you please not give me anything that's kind of dark and heavy for a while, because I wouldn't mind a couple comedies and stuff. But she said, but apparently she read this one and just thought it was so good that she's like, okay, I need to do this one. Honestly, this one, I felt like watching her is so just like honestly, like just there's parts where like just pulling my heart out of its chest. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly, when the accident happens, and by the way, spoilers, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of big twists and turns that you don't see coming in this film, and incidentally, props. This film did a spectacular job. When you watch the trailer, you think the daughter's a major part of the film, and then all of a sudden you watch it, it's like, oh, not so much, or at least not in the way you think it's going to be. So I mean, honestly, the scene where she's killed and he's just in shock and just quietly parks the car and goes upstairs and goes to bed, and you're just waiting. You're just waiting for that moment, and then sure enough, when she starts wailing, I mean, you just
off in the distance.
You just want to die. I mean, it's just so bad, So I mean, I thought she was Toni Collette. I mean, she's just a superstar in this.
So I have a question.
And that's really the only time.
Oh, sorry, Kyle, you were frozen. I didn't think you were good.
Oh, I just want to say that's really the only time that the family seems to exhibit any sort of love, is when the daughter dies and the mother reacts with such emotion to it. For the rest of the film, there's not a whole lot of affection between this family. I mean, Annie is not upset about her mother's death. She didn't want to become her son's mother. There's very, as you say, little chemistry between the husband and the wife. Even after the daughter is killed, the father and son start talking about SAT prep. It's weird just how there's very little love shown amongst this family, except in that one scene when the mother, Annie, Toni Collette, is reacting to her daughter's death.
Well, I think that, I one of the things I picked up this time around, there's a shocking difference between the way she reacts to her mother's death, which is almost like she could care less. I mean, honestly, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I'm watching the movie. I've seen it before. I watched it today, and I'm watching her eulogize her mother, and it almost sounds more like a roast. It's like she's
right.
Like, I mean,
yes.
She's practically coming right out and saying, my mother was a horrible person. Right. Like, it was, and she was so stoic, really couldn't generate any feeling either way. Just, my mother was terrible and she's gone. But when the daughter's dead, all of a sudden it's a wildly different scenario. Now she's wailing at the funeral as the coffin is going down. I mean, it's just gut wrenching, and I feel like, she again, you never saw a lot of love in the family before this. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
Like even after the funeral, like when she's sitting with her daughter and the daughter's saying weird things like, "Who's going to take care of me when you die?" You know, and she's like, "Well, don't you think I'm going to take care of you?" It's almost like there's a weird detachment there that you can't quite put your finger on. You know what I mean? It's not
Yes.
warm at all. In fact, when earlier when you called this like a family drama, I'm thinking Poltergeist, but this is not Poltergeist. Like Poltergeist is sort of a functioning family that gets unraveled by events that happen. This one is unnerving because the family's just off. You know what I mean? Just not quite right. And I, you know, when the kid comes home and he says something about the SATs, it's almost like, and that was the thing too. I sort of felt like Gabriel Byrne's character was sort of like an unspoken hero in the film because you could see him trying to hold the family together. Like he's trying to pull people back into a sense of normalcy, and again, it's not working. But he's really trying to the point where when she starts flying off the hinges, you see him being like, I can't do this with you. I have to protect my family. You know what I mean? And she's, what do you mean protect your family? I love my family or something or other. And but you know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like he's just seeing her as just a crazy person, you know, and he again, he has to do that heavy lifting of trying to keep the family unit together.
I've had a completely different read on him. I had a note that said Steve's a cuck.
And I don't see it that way at all. And in fact, I go so far as to say he's the guy who he's not only trying to keep the family together, he's also trying to keep the audience consoled that, hey, this is just a crazy woman. This woman's crazy. This is a movie about a crazy woman. Nobody's haunted. Nobody's possessed. And then when he dies and all of the really supernatural stuff starts happening and people are levitating and cutting off their own heads, it's because he's not there anymore. He's not there to be that reassuring presence that like there's still one normal person, somebody who hasn't been touched by this demonic possession. There's still somebody who says like, no, she's just insane. Demons don't exist and you're all crazy. And then once he's gone, all of that goes away with him.
Yeah.
But that's the last 20 minutes of the movie. We still have 2 hours of this other stuff that doesn't make much sense leading up to the climax. Like for me, we've already kind of let the cat out of the bag. Charlie, the daughter, gets killed. Peter's a pothead, takes a big old bong rip at a party that he was forced to bring his sister to. Driving home, she gets decapitated on the side of the road. Something's in the middle of the road. He swerves. She's sticking her head out because she's going into anaphylactic shock after eating nuts and a piece of cake or something like that. Sticks her head out to breathe. Boom. Loses her head. Loses her head. Crazy scene. But what happens after that? He pulls to the side of the road and he's having a panic attack. He kind of pulls himself together. Then what does he? He just drives home after that. Like you see him like kind of let his foot off and just pull up a little bit. Then we see him and he's at home. Like, was he afraid he was going to get like a DUI for driving under the influence or something because he was high? There's a funeral. There's no investigation. That whole scene made no sense to me. How are they going to recover the body? She's buried. Didn't somebody like rob the grave or desecrated the grave site at some point? And the father's trying to work out the insurance or make a claim over it. There was no investigation over what happened. He just drives home with a headless body in the back of the car, parks it in front, and that's how the mother discovers that her daughter died. But they still have a funeral. Like that whole part made no sense to me. Graphic as hell, and I love the way they cut it. I love the way they cut it, where like last minute, all of a sudden, head on the side of the road covered with ants. Like that was great. That was well shot. It was a creepy scene, disturbing image, and all that. But that whole thing just made no sense, at least to me.
I mean, I didn't have an issue with it. I just, I'm reading it like he's just in total shock, and and he's a little stoned. B, right. He's a teenager, and C, he's just in full blown shock.
But what happens from that point to the funeral? Like, there's no police involvement, whatever. Like, wouldn't there be some sort of investigation if a your kid was just died, and then hours later you're discovering the body. I would think something's got to happen.
I'm sure there was, but I'm sure everything that happened, it's not like it's not a murder mystery where people are trying to figure out what happened. I mean, I think once she finds the body, it's obvious what had happened. And
there's no repercussions for him. There would have to be something that goes on. Like they'd be like, well, what happened? Oh, she like an explanation of the story. He would end up in jail or something.
He steered around something. I mean, honestly, one of the things I
didn't buy that part is what I mean.
I saw something in the trivia where that was actually based on a real event. It was just some kind of a random, it was a random story, but it was like some kids just kind of drunk and high at a party, and they're driving home and kids speeding, and the one kid stuck his head out the window, and apparently he went by like the tension wire of the thing took his head off, and apparently like literally drove home and parked the car and went to bed the next day. So I mean, again, that's an extreme story. Doesn't mean that I'm not giving it a pass, but just saying that it happened. But I mean, honestly, I didn't even flinch because I just thought, like, again, he's a minor. It was an accident. I don't think anybody challenged the story that that it was an accident, and that's what happened. So.
But there's a lot of things in this movie that I like. For me, my big complaint is just runtime. I just think it's way too long for what it is. And the things that they show, there's a lot of it that could have been omitted. That didn't advance the story. Like the dollhouse thing. I mean, I can understand that it's her. It could be like you call it, like a red herring or whatever. Like she's being crazy. Like who the hell would make a diorama of her daughter's death? I could see that part of it, but like you could have left all that out and still had the same movie. I don't think the dollhouse or whatever you want to call it, diorama aspect of the movie moved the plot along at all, at least for me. And you could have had something like that
or
I don't see. Yeah, I don't know.
Or
good.
Or it's Voodoo Dolly.
Have you ever heard of a TV show called Saint Elsewhere?
No,
heard of it, but yeah.
The last episode of Saint Elsewhere, and I've never watched the show, but I'm familiar with this concept. Is the show is revealed the entire thing is taking place in a snow globe that an autistic child is watching, and he's imagining the events of this entire television series. If you watch this movie, it opens up with one of her miniature dioramas and then zooms in and it becomes their house. So is the entire movie right? Is this movie just somebody playing with dolls? I mean, it could be that simple. I mean, you could it that way. That it's just in somebody's imagination the entire time, and it's we're watching somebody manipulate miniatures. One way to look at it, at least that was takeaway that I had this time.
I would build on that too, and I mean, honestly, the opening shot is weird because it's like they show the treehouse in the backyard, like the camera opens literally from the very first shot of the film. It's showing the treehouse out the window, and then the camera pans into the room to show the dollhouse, and then zooms in on one of the rooms in the house, and then just the father walks into the room, wakes the son up.
Yep.
Get ready, put your suit on. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing I think is meant to sort of say, like, it's almost like, why did it go to the trouble to do that? It started in real life, then zooms in on the fake house, and then the fake house is the real life. So it's like, why did it take that extra step? Well, because I think it's sort of showing that we're all sort of pawns in this game. It's about manipulating the players and the pawns on the chessboard or whatever. So yeah, and I kind of felt like just the general imagery. Honestly, there were so many parts when I'm sort of looking at that. Like I said, I don't mean to keep using this as an example, but I would picture like the overhead shot of the maze and The Shining. A lot of the really good imagery in the Kubrick, geometric staging of his shots. That was sort of what I was sort of flashing to a lot of this sort of stuff. And honestly, I thought that the imagery of her kind of constantly playing in this little world it was sort of commenting on what we're doing, like, again, people being manipulated, or this whole entire thing. I mean, the whole thing is about this entire family being used and manipulated by this weird cult and the supernatural forces at play.
So I have one more note on that scene from the party. I just thought it'd be hilarious because the son Peter takes like that huge bong rip right before Charlie walks in with having an allergic reaction because she's allergic to nuts. And gets in the car, and it just shows them tearing ass down the street, like big dirt road and all that. And I was just like, what if he was so high he thinks he's going like 100 miles an hour, but he's like 20 miles an hour because he's just so ripped.
That actually would have been some welcome comic relief.
Right. Oh, for real.
Yeah. That actually, like, just like in what was that movie with The Wolf of Wall Street, when they're like super high and he thinks he's speeding home, or he parked the car right, and the next day so I guess I'm gonna just jump ahead a little bit. Ray, I'm gonna guess that you weren't a complete fan of this film. You not totally won over. I mean, and in fairness, we probably did hype this up a little bit. So overall, no.
I wouldn't say no. It was definitely more of a horror movie than a lot of stuff that's come out. Like, and I enjoyed like the psychological aspects of it. And there's a lot of points that you guys are pointing out that I didn't even think of because I was taking it literally. I didn't dive deep into it. Like I said, I fell asleep twice and finally watched it literally, 40 minutes ago. So I was taking everything literally. And from the literal aspects, I don't want to ruin my consideration or who asked you for later, so I'm going to save those. But there were a lot of little things I was picking up while watching it where it made me think this is definitely more of a supernatural than a psychological, or the supernatural is more in play than it is a mental mother's losing it type thing. One of the notes that I have on here is Joni, the lady that she meets at the Lost Survivors meeting the second time, the lady that comes running over to the car that introduces her to the seances and all that. When Annie goes to her house, Annie doesn't have a reflection in the mirror, but Joan does. It was both times I picked that up. She goes there twice, and both times when she walks past that mirror, when she enters the apartment, you see Joan, but you don't see the mother's reflection as she passes. So I kept thinking, like, okay, she's a demon, or she's a witch, or something like that. Then you have that big twist at the end where it's revealed that it's hereditary, that the grandmother was a witch. And during the seance that Annie brings the family down for, I'm talking to Charlie. The only other person that feels it is Peter, the son. The husband doesn't feel anything. He's like, did you feel the way the room, did you feel that? The way what's he say? Like the air shifted or the air warped, something like that. He makes a comment about like the atmosphere in the room changing. So I'm like, okay, so she has it. The son has it. The grandmother had it. Makes sense that the father doesn't have it because his side of the family doesn't. These are the kids now. Charlie, she might have had something because she kind of foreshadowed her own death, and she keeps coming back as this as the demon now. She cuts off the head of the bird at the beginning of the movie, and then she's decapitated. There's a lot of things like that that come into the movie. Like the father, he keeps complaining about how downstairs is always cold. Then he gets lit on fire and dies downstairs. The mother, she's losing her mind, and it's kind of her own fault, and she cuts off her own head. So there were a lot of things like that I kept picking up. I'm like, okay, this movie it's kind of just following keys, but I like where it's going. I didn't not like it, but I don't think it was top tier. And I feel like he was a hell of a...
Come up with those. I know. I was like, come up with those off the cuff remarks because it sounded like that was like quite good.
All right, let's continue without Joe.
Did you read up at all on Paimon?
I didn't.
Any of that
I translated the Liftoch Pandemonium or Pandemium, I guess it would be pronounced. So Liftoch is Hebrew for to open or to unlock, and Pandemium or pandemonium, was from Milton's Paradise Lost. It was a made-up word, actually, for the demons or chaos. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Paimon is like the mischief demon, who's like one of the kings of hell, and a subject of Lucifer. It went down to some weird corners of the internet when I was looking into this a little bit, and kind of haunting stuff. I'm like, I don't know how much I like this.
I used to be really into that. I'm wondering if he's one of there's two different books, the Lesser Keys and the Greater Keys of Solomon, for
Yes,
demonology.
and that's where Paimon comes from.
Oh, does it really? Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's in the Lesser Keys.
I believe so.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with demonology. I used to be really into it when I did like ghost hunting and stuff like that, but I kind of fell out.
Yeah.
Plus, bad vibes.
Yes. Yeah, some of that stuff at the very end. I mean, seeing, and he's almost always depicted with decapitated women. That's a theme, and of course, in this movie, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, it's an ongoing theme.
Right, decapitation is a thing here.
So, I mean,
evidently,
I don't know if we're just rolling without Joe, but one thing I didn't quite get. Well, I mean,
he's
so,
good.
So the grandmother keeps appearing.
He can stitch this together if we
right.
if Joe we say things of substance that are usable.
Right. So the grandmother keeps appearing to everybody in the family. So appears to Charlie, the daughter, at one point. Peter, the son, sees her. Where the hell does he see her? So the mother sees her in the craft room or the project room, whatever they call it, the studio, in the corner, and then disappears. Now, was that the mother, or was that one of the coven? That's what like, because they make appearances throughout.
They
like,
do make
appearances,
like
full
throughout
frontal coven.
Even in the very beginning. The coven is at the wake, and they kind of look on the family with like almost a possessive look. But I think in the scene that you're talking about, it's the grandmother.
And then Charlie sees her like in the field with everything burning, and then she's kind of, or like whatever it is that's burning. There's like a line of fire,
Right.
and then she's kind of sitting on the other side of it. But the mother doesn't see that at all. Goes, snatches her, brings her back to the house. What are you doing out here without shoes on? That kind of deal. But every member except the father. So, and that also kind of gave me like a hint, like, okay, this is only the one side of the family. Like, it's her and the
Right.
kid. So dad's going to die at some point. Like, that was just like a given to me. I'm like, okay.
And it does kind of you trick the viewer a little bit, that you think that, oh, well, the little girl is possessed by the spirit of her dead grandmother or something. I mean, you're thinking it's going to be kind of like The Omen, where it's a possessed child, and it does not go that way.
I don't know if we want to talk about that without Joey. Well, just in case. So I'm sure we'll get back into it when he jumps back in. But the very end of the movie, Peter's the only one that's left alive. He goes to the treehouse, and the coven's there. He's all confused, and they call him Charlie.
Yes, I think that's deliberate. I mean, it's a little girl given a boy's name because she was supposed to be the boy. She was the one. I mean, Annie,
in the
mother,
mythology, it
even
says they need a male. It can't. It's
correct,
so,
and
right.
she even specifically says, like, I gave my mother no contact with my son, but I gave her my daughter. She says those exact words. Yeah. I gave her my daughter, almost like, so this is the sacrificial child. It was supposed to be a boy. It turned out to be a girl, but they gave her which is, I'm sure, a nickname for Charlotte, but they gave her a boy's name. It also could be, and this was just something else that I was thinking of when I was going down rabbit holes about this movie. It could be a reference to King Charles, who was beheaded, as Charlie is. So I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily what this. I think that's just a coincidence. I think that
I don't know. That's a good.
It's more along the lines of Charlie was supposed to be a boy, and Paimon needs a male host, and that's why they have to switch from Charlie to Peter. I mean, is Peter named after Peter the Apostle? I don't know. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's another good
There's
one
a
too.
lot here. We haven't even gotten into the weird of this movie yet.
I know, and there's a lot of weird
demonology, as you call it. Yeah.
What do we got? Oh, well, speaking of the end of the movie, and I thought it was hysterical. The very, very end. I thought it made me laugh because you see Peter in the tree house, and he's coming up, and he's so confused. Or he has a confused look on his face. I shouldn't say he's confused, but then he looks around, and for like a split second, like he kind of like accepts like what's going on, and he's just surrounded by like all the cult members. They're all like bowing and naked and all that. And he, at one point, he does kind of get confused, but he keeps going back between this face, like what, and then accepting, and then he gets the crown. But then after the one cult member the coven member gives the speech, and it just like kind of pans up like close to his face. I just wanted so bad, like a stoner. What? Like come out of his mouth because they're like, "You're the god, blah blah. We'll worship you." Da, da. He's like, "What?" Just because he's fucking high all the time throughout the rest of the movie. Huh?
That's the part of the movie that sticks with me, and I have a hard time watching that last couple of minutes. Basically, from the point that Steven dies onward, becomes really difficult to watch. I mean, I don't like seeing Annie cut her own head off, and I don't like seeing the
but she's like 30
grandmother's
feet in the air, like
rotting corpse, and the levitation, and that and then especially the ritual sacrifice at the end, and the daughter's severed head on the mannequin, like all of that stuff. I just that stuff gives me the creeps, and it sticks with me.
The daughter's severed head on the mannequin. When Peter wakes up and it turns into the ball.
No, this is at the very end when they take the crown. There's like a mannequin of Paimon with
like an effigy
Charlie's
type thing,
and it's Charlie's head on the effigy.
What?
With the crown on it, and they take the crown off of Charlie's head and put it on Peter.
Like the severed head?
Yes. And it's
it was a gold. It was a gold head.
In a Christ-like way. It's weird.
The one I must have missed that because I saw the effigy of the golden statue and the crown and everything. You know, it has its arm. There's something inscribed on the chest. I don't remember seeing her head. It was like a gold round face.
It's her head.
Severed head, like graphic severed head.
Yeah, I mean it's decomposing, so it's black. But oh yeah,
no, I didn't. That's not what I saw in it. I wonder if it was a different cut or something. I watched it on HBO Max. It's interesting. I gotta
watch it.
It was definitely like a gold effigy.
Again. Yeah, I checked that part out again. It's totally her head on the thing.
It was a gold effigy, like of the god Paimon, right?
Yeah.
It's a gold face. There's no
the body. Seriously, I
watched it on my laptop. I'll pull it up right now and rewind. What the hell did I miss?
it's
the body is like a gold statue. The head is the head. Yeah.
No, it was like a gold skittle. All right, he just walked in.
Look. That's her head.
That's her
head.
That
is not what I saw the first time. For real. No. Yo, this movie's fucking with me. Hold on.
Maybe you watch a whole different version of this.
Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. No, it was gold, and it was a weird smiley face. I was like,
I don't like looking at that.
Yeah. Seriously.
Can you guys see what I'm seeing, or are you playing it?
I just grabbed a screenshot. I have the movie.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, I see it now. Well, it's not that bad.
I don't know, just something about all of that.
I saw the
like
light. It was weird lighting. Okay. I was like, oh, it's just like a weird gold face on there. It's smiley. I did not put that together that was her.
So
Joe, you were going on a rant after
that's why he's addressed as Charlie.
Gotcha. Joe, you were saying something?
So I think by the time I cut out, I was just talking about the ending that you guys are talking about. I said, honestly, I felt like all of the different puzzle pieces came together for me perfectly. Like I said, a lot of movies, it's all scary, it's all creepy, and throughout the whole thing, but sometimes the ending doesn't necessarily work. I thought the ending here was perfect. It totally came together exactly right story wise. I mean, the creep factor dials up to 11 at the climax for sure. So I thought all of it kind of worked, so yeah, I was real pleased with the whole thing.
Yeah, and Joe, that final sequence is what we were talking about when we had the technical difficulty. But when he comes up, when Peter comes up, I like the fact that, as you guys are pointing out with the title of the film, Hereditary, you still don't know if he's crazy or not. But he comes up there, and then you see all the members of the witches' coven, full frontal bowing to him and all. And then you have the two bodies that are headless. You have the effigy of the god that they're worshiping and all that. And I was telling Kyle, his face just goes back and forth between like confusion and accepting, and you don't know where he's at. If like this is like you were implying, like this could all be in his head or whatever, because the mental illness is hereditary or whatever. But I was taking it literally. And I thought that was a really cool ending because he looks like, what the fuck? And that's all I could think of, because he's a pothead, is just like the last thing he says after the woman gives the speech about him being the god and everything, him just giving like a good stoner, like, what? And that would be the end of the movie. But yeah, like I could totally see it going either way. But again, I'm taking it seriously. He's in this coven, but I don't think he's accepting. He's not possessed. He has that gift, but
I didn't see. I took it much differently because like the entire movie, like the little flickering white light that you saw a couple times.
Yeah, you see that like thing shooting out in the hallway or in the bedroom. Yeah.
So basically, when after he jumps out the window and he's just laying there in the garden, and you can't tell if he's dead or alive, the white light comes down and kind of goes into him, and then he wakes up, and then they're just calling him Charlie. So I kind of thought, in my interpretation was that he is just now, and they literally say, like, we couldn't get you a male body before, we have a male body for you now. And but to your point, there still is just a tiny bit of, maybe it could go either way also, kind of like maybe it's just vague enough that you could interpret it another way. But I kind of read it loud and clear. I said, I mean, like everything else came together too perfectly for this to be to not be what it's telling us it is. You know what I mean? I kind of felt like all of the elements sort of align in this.
But his performance leading up to that, like he emotes so well, and in that moment, to me, it didn't read like I'm this god now. It was more like confusion between, is this really happening? Am I going to accept like this? I'm normal, but should I just like go with it? Or is he going to freak the fuck out? Or is he actually this god? Like I couldn't get a good read on that. And that could be intentional.
Well, I mean, think of it this way too. Like they're calling him Charlie. They're basically like the what they're kind of suggesting is that Charlie, the sister, was already this kind of born again satanic god. So, and Charlie was weird. Charlie just acted weird. So this kid is basically now acting like Charlie. He's acting like that same vibe. So,
Kyle, jump in there. We discussed this.
Yeah, I take it when Peter at the window, he dies, and that light that enters him is the spirit of Payman reanimating him. And we were talking a little bit when you weren't in here, Joe, that Annie even explicitly says, I kept my mother away from Peter, and then this is a direct quote, I gave her my daughter. almost like
Yeah.
the daughter was given to the mother as like the sacrificial child, or this called unknowingly. I don't think she realized, but this is she was the one who was sort of offered into that world, and I think that's one of the reasons why she's called Charlie is to because she was supposed to be a boy, and everybody expected her to be a boy, and the grandmother wanted her to be a boy, but rolled with it until they could find a replacement.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's exactly how I was reading it too, and I feel like it stands up to repeat viewings too. Honestly, like when you again when you go back and you kind of retrace the steps and you go, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really great little clues in here. Like we mentioned before, the lady Joan who runs up to her car when she pulls up to the, if you notice, she's nowhere to be seen when she goes to the actual meeting the first time. Now she pulls into the parking lot the second time, and this lady runs up to her car. She's not in the meeting. So, you know what I mean? So, like, you didn't notice it the first time around, but like when you watch it, the second time around, it's like, oh, yeah, this lady was not part of that meeting. She was waiting for her to show up there and pretend that she was, etc.
Yep.
So, little things like that I thought really worked well.
It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What? Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Oh my God! What's that?
She isn't gone.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die.
All right, gentlemen, I think it is time to score Hereditary. I don't usually go first, but I think I will this time because I think you guys probably already
It's
know
your movie.
Where I'm headed with this. I mean, honestly, I really did give this. I'm pretty sure it was my number one film for the year, which shocked my then partner for 2018. It was probably I scored it the highest out of all the horror movies. So no surprise. I think this film is a 10. I can't change. And again, I'm a little, I feel like 10 might be a tiny bit generous. It's not like a groundbreaking, but honestly, I feel like it stacks up there perfectly with films like The Shining, The Omen, The Exorcist, all these great horror films, supernatural horror films. It stands up to repeat viewing. I don't find any cracks in the armor. I think the story works well, comes together perfectly at the end. So, again, if you're on board with it the entire time, the ending doesn't slip at all. So yeah, I think it works pretty damn perfectly. So I'm going to give it a 10. So
nice.
Kyle, what do you got?
I'm a little bit lower than you, not quite as enthusiastic, but I still like this movie a lot. I think it's incredibly well made, and especially for a first-time director. There's not too much to criticize about this one, so I'm gonna go and give it an 8. Still a very respectable score for a very, very respectable, well-made, well-crafted, and well-acted movie.
Nice. Okay, Ray, let me have it.
As our fearless leader always says, there's always a turd in the punch bowl. It's my turn this time. So, but prior to our conversation, I gave this one, I even wrote the note saying a generous 6.7. But again, I took it literally as it was, as I saw the movie and caught some foreshadowing and kind of, it took me out of it. I'm like, okay, this is like a family of witches and this is going to happen. And a lot of it to me was a little predictable, but I didn't give it the chance to get that psychological angle that you guys picked up on. So after that, I'm going to give it a 7.2.
Okay.
All right, fair enough.
And I think it's definitely worthy of a rewatch as well to pick up those little nuances that you guys talked about.
All right, cool. All righty. Then in that case, who asked you? No, damn it, for your consideration. Why do I always do that?
Got to go with
Because
good
you want the
news
good
first.
news or the bad news first?
Yeah. For your consideration, what do you got, Kyle?
I've got to go with the acting, particularly Gabriel Byrne and Toni Collette. I thought that they both turned in career high performances, and I lean a little bit more towards Gabriel Byrne because he is playing the straight man, which is not easy to do in a movie like this. It would be very easy to kind of go big and broad with your acting in a movie like this, and he doesn't. He keeps it very down to earth, and I did mention that he is sort of the audience surrogate, where he's the one who just keeps going like, no, this is crazy, you're insane, that can't be happening, this isn't real, somebody desecrated your mother's grave, it was you. So I really responded to his performance in this. So I'm going to go with Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne, but leaning more towards Gabriel Byrne.
It's an interesting one. Ray, what do you got?
So for your consideration, I thought, and we've touched on it throughout, all three of us actually, I thought this was a great homage film to classics like Rosemary's Baby, Salem's Lot, The Exorcist, The Shining, Beetlejuice, Wicker Man. It has a lot of those classic elements to it, especially like visually, and I don't want to say pacing, but the like the slow shots, the slow pans, and things like that. The cinematography with it is just like classic, like those films, and the storyline, the way the plot moves forward, the little eerie things that happen. There's homages to all these classic horror films, all mixed into this one, and for that, I'll give it props.
Nice. Kyle, is funny, honestly. I get where you're coming from, but when you said Gabriel Byrne, I was like, really? Of all of these people, he was, like you said, the straight man. He has his role and does it well. But I mean, honestly, Toni Collette was the one I was like, just scared the crap out of me. I mean, she was just like her,
Sure.
The other ones, I mean, the little girl and the boy. I mean, I kind of feel like this was just down the rabbit hole, craziness. So I would definitely give it. I'm very tempted to give it to Toni Collette, but I kind of want to sort of mention Ari Aster for this, because again, he wrote it and directed it. So, and when you hear about like Toni Collette talking about filming the movie, she said like it was as if he had it completely shot and edited in his mind. So he was like an extremely well structured, well organized director. She said it was a very easy film to do in that respect. And incidentally, he also went on to do similar things. I don't think it was quite. He actually did something after this, Midsummer.
Yeah,
not as good, I thought, but still kind of, sort of in the same wheelhouse. Like it was, you would feel some of the same things, and it also had that kind of same groundedness, so it really did creep you the hell out when things would happen. So I think this guy is pretty legit. So I really wanted to mention Ari Aster as a writer and director of this film. Just absolutely incredible.
He's heavy on the Wicker Man vibes, especially with Summer Man as well too.
Yeah, big time.
I'm surprised that it took us this long to bring up the Wicker Man, because I definitely see a lot of shared DNA between those two films for sure.
Yeah. And incidentally, by the way, Ray, when you mentioned Rosemary's Baby, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that one too. That's another one that it homages.
There is, I mean, there's so many scenes that you can pull back to the, like those classic, like, 60s through 90s movies that this kind of like draws from, and it does work, and it works well. That's what I liked about it. A fun fact for you guys too, as well. Peter, the son, the scene where he freaks out. That's one of the scenes that I really liked, where his like arm goes up in the air, it's all twisted and awkward, and his face looks like he's having a stroke. He actually broke his nose when he slammed his face into his desk, and that reaction was real when he tosses himself back, freaking out.
Yeah,
so that's why I thought one of you guys were going to pick him for like best actor in it, but. Fair enough.
I totally agree with you. I read the same thing. The way I read it was that he had offered to literally bust his nose, and the director was like, "No, you don't have to." Yeah, like no, you don't have to do that. But when he did it, he smashed it so hard that even though that the desk was sort of made of rubber or something like that, there was like wood underneath. So he really did sort of smack his face pretty good, and like kind of. I don't know if he didn't bust his jaw, but kind of maybe banged it up enough. Something happened. So yeah, he really did have, to your point, a pretty full reaction, a realistic reaction.
Ouch.
Dedication.
Yeah, for sure. So who asked you? Obviously I'm exempt from this one. So Kyle, why don't you go first on this?
Well, Ray, you mentioned it a couple of times, and I didn't comment on it because I was saving it for this moment, but I'm going to go with the runtime. Not that it's an excessively long movie. I think it's just a hair over 2 hours, but I did find myself, and it could be because I had already seen it, so I knew what to expect, but I really did find myself checking my watch this time around. I did think like, okay, time to pick up the pace a little bit, cut to the chase, get into the story. Maybe because I know that some of the red herrings and like the false clues don't lead towards the conclusion, and the conclusion comes from somewhere else. That could just be because I've seen this film before, and a consequence of repeat viewings. But I was really aware of the runtime this time around.
All righty. Ray, let it rip.
Pacing. The first time I watched it, I made it about 40 minutes in before I fell asleep. Second time, I fell asleep a little earlier. I think it was because I already saw that part. And this time, same as you, just kept, I'm like, man, when are we going to get to something? Like, there's a head on the side of the road covered in ants. That's gross. Okay. Okay, this happened. And it was just over and over. I'm like, just get to it. And the best part is literally the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the film. And we've got a 2 hour plus runtime. And just reiterate, like, I think there's a lot of stuff that could have been cut out that you could still have that psychological angle with the mother going crazy and still had this wrapped up in hour and a half, hour 45. So for me, again, pacing.
All right. Fair enough. I like my slow burns. I actually, and again, like I think your points are valid. So I'm not telling you you're wrong, but I mean, I when I watched it this time, I remember feeling like I thought it was moving along pretty well. I remember it felt like it wasn't long before he was at the party and he's running her out to the car, and I'm like I thought that took a little longer myself the first time, but this time it seemed like it was at the right pace for me. So yeah, but no, I think that's. Of the things you could talk about this movie, I think that's fair for sure.
Definitely. It's a very good movie.
I enjoyed it. Took 3 times, but I enjoyed it.
She wasn't altogether there at the end.
Mom?
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Peter! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Please stop! Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
Gentlemen, I think that is Hereditary. Thank you for doing this one. And again, I was, I'm glad we got to spend some time on this one because obviously it was very high on my list. So I'm glad I got to, give it the proper. I mentioned it a couple times in other shows, but this time we gave it a full hour. So very cool. So thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fun to talk about this one with you. I know how highly you hold this film in your regards. So it was fun to discuss.
Thanks.
And I'm definitely willing to watch it a 4th time to pick up all that stuff that you guys talked about that I missed.
Let it marinate a little bit though. Don't go watch.
I should.
Wait, come like next Halloween, come back to it, and like I said, throw down a Red Bull and see if it. And we have to figure out what we're going to do next. Like you said, maybe we need to change it up and do some rom-coms next month.
Yeah,
Do the whole fall.
Please, something a little bit lighter.
There you go. I don't know if I ever did Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, but I wouldn't mind doing that before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, not a bad call.
That is a Thanksgiving movie. Yeah.
All right, gents. Thank you so much, and I will see you here next time.
All right. Have a good night. Happy Halloween.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. You can also find our episodes on our YouTube channel. Check the link in the description. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and are considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.